Monday. It is a glorious Monday today. We're trying to bring the positive vibes, not just to Monday, but to every day of the week. But Monday's when we need it the most, I think. I'm excited for the show today. We've got kind of an interesting day. I wouldn't say there's a ton of bombshell news today in the plant-based world, but we've got a fun show planned as we are wont to do these days. Can't seem to get my camera straight here, so I apologize for that. Again, I'm just feeling the time when we wait for Doug to start and wait for people to get in here because it's just an awkward period. There's Doug. He's expressing gratitude or something. I don't know what he's doing. Doug,
I am, Matt. It's just so beautiful to see your face on a lovely Monday morning.
Thank you, Doug. That's very positive. I like that.
Yeah, I decided I wasn't gonna dance today because I just not really feeling the dancing mood. So I
Yeah.
was like, man, should I just come in, feeling a little grounded, a little slow this morning? No, I just gotta express that gratitude because you know what? We're here, we're talking. All these people are
I
joining
like
us.
it.
It's a good day. It's a great day.
Yeah. Well, good. No one dislikes someone showing gratitude to them or to the world in general. So thank you for that. That is very nice. It is good. I'm in a positive mood. Listen, I'm going to spoil the sleep game, and we're not going
Oh
to
boy.
guess at mine. I had a pretty good one. Again, I have these sleeps now where I go to bed pretty late, although it wasn't that late. But I sleep like 6.5 good hours, and I wake up from that, and I just feel amazing. And then today I had to go back to sleep again after I did the bus ride thing, but it wasn't like a
Mm-hmm.
terrible one. It just feels like a normal person would sleep, and then maybe go back to sleep later on for a little more. So I'm feeling great with that, and I just hope it continues.
Well, that is positive. That's good news.
Yeah.
I had it's I got the Mondays, I guess a little bit. It was kind of
Yeah. Case of the
a
Mondays.
case of the Mondays. We had some sick kids this weekend, so I didn't sleep all that great this weekend. And then we had a 2 hour delay at school today because of some inclement weather, which,
Okay.
as a kid, I would have celebrated and loved. And even in parts of my adult life with kids, I would have loved because it would have been a fun like opportunity for us to do some things. But I had a
Right.
busy morning at work today. I needed to get stuff done. I couldn't
Yeah.
be uprooting my schedule. So, it's just one of those days. But I'm here now. I'm thankful for this, and here we are.
All right. If that's true, then Doug, why were you in the pickup or the drop off line at like 9:30 today? Isn't that the normal drop off time?
9:30? No way. Drop off is at 7:45, and I was at drop off at 9:50 today.
Oh, okay. I don't know why I thought it used to like interfere with the. Oh, that's right. It was. It was the German time thing when the drop off was getting in the way of the show.
Yeah. When you were in Germany, yes, yeah. There was probably some interference there.
All right, good enough. Didn't you guys just have a 2 hour delay on Friday or something?
Let's
And
see.
we were singing the praises of 2 hour delays. Said how nice it was to have children.
No, I don't
No?
remember that.
Okay,
No.
maybe it was a couple weeks ago.
Okay. Yeah,
They all
maybe
blend
so.
together. Anyway,
We did have that, and like I said, depending on the day, I feel like it could be a really positive thing, just not today.
yeah. Okay, good. Well, you're at least you're. We appreciate that you're making an effort, even when you feel a little bit of the Monday blues. I like it. So, okay, how was your weekend, Doug? You said sick kids and not a great sleep. Otherwise,
Yeah,
anything good?
not
Ice skating? Did you do that, or that get canceled?
Oh, well, I stayed home with a sick kid, but Katie and daughter went ice skating last night, and Eliza went ice skating not last night, on Saturday. Huge hit. Happened to just be princess, and so there were
Wow.
princesses
Okay,
out ice
that's
skating, which
amazing.
was
Amazing
mind blown
coincidence.
for.
Yeah.
I know for my daughter who's very much into princesses, so she got to ice skate around with some of her favorite princesses, and it was a great
Now how did she
a
how did
great
she ice skate around? Because your first day ice skating usually is never a
yeah
good
that's true.
day. But if you can ski, the principles are a little bit the same. I mean,
She had they have those like things you can
right,
hold on
the
to,
walkers.
walkers, and there's a bunch of pictures of like Elsa behind her pushing her, and so like
Oh, okay.
glide for glide, and I mean, that's pretty cool when you're
Yeah.
6 years old and trying to and into your Disney princesses. We did one interesting thing food wise that I wanted to call out, and that
Okay.
was at the grocery store the other day. The like Thanksgiving vegan roasts that we talked about
Yep.
were on
Of course.
mega discount because no one is buying those right now. Now that the holidays are over, and they
Right.
were like $4 or something like that for one of those roasts that was that are typically $18 or something. And And so we got one, and we just had one for dinner the other night, and it was actually really good, really good. Yeah.
That is a good idea. I mean, you wouldn't really consider that on a normal night, but it's a pretty good idea.
No, we just had a bunch of roasted vegetables,
And it wasn't
stuff,
past
and
expiration date or anything? You didn't get it at
No,
Hopi,
no.
did you?
No, didn't get it at Hopi, not past expiration date, but it was coming up on it. I think it was like February 1st or something. So they were trying to just get rid
I'm
of
sure
them.
if you put that into a deep freeze, it's pretty much indefinite lifespan, right?
yeah, I would imagine so.
Man, you should stock up on those things. That's good
I know, it's good.
value. Good. Okay. Well, I did some interesting food stuff too. Made some. Well, I think it was Friday. I made some black beans from the Blue Zone's American Kitchen Cookbook, and they were pretty good. But then the Blue Zone's Kitchen Cookbook, or I guess it's Blue Zone American Kitchen. They have a section.
Okay.
By the way, the book, by the way, I think I've said it before, is it's not the United States is not by and large a blue zone. There's the Loma Linda area in California where the Seventh Day Adventists are. That is one of the blue zones. But this is looking at several different sort of culture, I guess, ethnic. I don't know what it would be. Cuisines. America's a melting pot. We've got all these different ethnicities here, and they all have their own cuisines. And certain of them kind of fit the patterns of the Blue Zone's diets. So he takes, 5 or 6 different of those, like indigenous Native American, African / I don't know, Ethiopian, something else. He calls it 3 or 4 things.
Okay.
And all. So anyway, but the African one is basically the Southeast. It's this sort of, soul food. I don't have another better name for it. I was thinking that it was the lowlands kind of food, South Carolina food. So I said, we live in South Carolina now, technically. I'm going to make some of that stuff. That seems pretty good.
Okay.
So I made last night chickpeas from scratch in a coconut turmeric kind of curry sauce.
Nice.
Cooked in it, which was interesting. This is good. Collard greens with lemon and sage. That was really good. And rice. So we had a nice, basically the meal that you get at a Veg Fest. Typically, we had that. We had that.
You get it at Veg Fest.
Yeah, I mean, I've had that meal 100 times at Veg Fest, where you get some sort of collard greens with some rice, with some sort of beans, or like maybe tofu skins or something, but in the same yellow curry kind of sauce. We had that, and it was actually very good. Something very different from what I usually do, which is much more Mediterranean style cooking. So I enjoyed that. It was fun to do.
How did you cook your collards?
Well, the recipe tells you to basically boil them for 45 to 90 minutes. And I can't do that.
What?
They turn brown. You know how, it's just, and that's, I think, the traditional way to cook collard greens.
Okay.
It's why they have a reputation especially among kids, but like even adults, as like this soft, slimy kind of, wilted vegetable. When I make collards and they're good, at least in our opinion, they cook for like 3 minutes on extremely high temperature cast iron skillet. So I had to kind of modify a little bit. I didn't want to do really long cooking. So I did like a 8-minute simmer. They were just starting to get brown when I turned it off. And I used less liquid and, had to kind of pour some liquid out and condense it in a separate pan and then pour that back on top. It was a little bit of a process, but it was fine. It was good. I'm glad I didn't do 45 minutes. That would have been, or 90 minutes.
Yeah, no kidding. We had Mediterranean last night. We had falafel and a bunch of like fun Mediterranean toppings. It was, it's just so good. We're gonna talk a little bit more about the Mediterranean diet today, probably. And those flavors, they're just so good.
They are really good. That's why I like the Mediterranean diet so much. I just feel like it's so easy to adopt. And actually that's mentioned in the article that we're gonna get into about it. So that should be good. Only other news I've got is I did order my my squat rack, which has been much talked about on the show.
Oh,
maybe I mentioned that already. I don't know, but I ordered that and I got a bench. Went to Dick's Sporting Goods, got a little bench. So that arrives tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll be pumping rubber in my garage with my bumper plates. So
oh boy. Okay. All right. So now the pressure is really on for that pull-up bar because I'd kind of, been like, well, Matt hasn't actually gotten his stuff either. So
well, my stuff's not a New Year's resolution, multiple years running. It's just a little recent kick on doing something.
I know, but it's a. I'll take any excuse I can get.
Yeah, I can tell. I see that. I'm aware of that pattern.
Okay. All right. All right. Should we get into the weather report?
Quickly move on from that topic.
I'm gonna move on as quickly as I can. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's hit the weather report really quick. I forgot to fire up the the 7-Eleven Sounds Great sound machine, and it appears that it is out of power, so there will be no sponsored segment right now by 7-Eleven. Into the weather report, vegan fried chicken brand VFC, which is super popular in Europe, I gather from a lot of Instagram posts about it, announces it is finally expanding to U.S. retail by launching into over 100 Rally's grocery stores. RALEY apostrophe S. Doug, have you ever been to a Rally's market
Never heard
in
of
your
a
West
Rally's,
Coast
no.
stints? Now, I had to Google it. It's a family-owned chain along the West Coast, so that means not easy expansion. I was hoping that it was like owned by Safeway / Kroger or whoever, and then it would soon enough be over here. But no, it appears that it's family-owned, so hopefully someone will notice that it's working and they'll pick up on it. They're going to be carrying chicken fillets, tenders, and popcorn chicken. That's chick apostrophe N. No, sorry, chick asterisk N. They went with an asterisk to maybe piggyback off the curse word with asterisk trend that people tend to do in books these days. Anyway, they aim to revolutionize the plant-based food market. Yeah. But this stuff's super popular. I was under the impression that that they had restaurants. They had VFC restaurants. But I think I'm wrong about that. I think maybe they just had little pop-ups or something, because I've seen people post it, and I thought it looked just like it was a KFC sort of play, but they were doing it VFC. Have you seen the VFC stuff ever, or is that just me?
I don't think I have.
Okay. Well, maybe our European contingent can chime in here and let us know if they've seen it around. But I believe it is pretty popular over there. But I don't think it's a restaurant.
Okay.
All right. In healthier plant-based news, PCRM reports that a new study published in the American Journal of Lifestyle Medicine shows that plant-based diets can improve treatments for substance abuse disorder with benefits such as mental health outcomes improving, like self-esteem and resilience, more than those compared to who did not follow a plant-based diet. So not clear to me whether they're saying part of the treatment you adopt the plant-based diet. That seems like a very difficult thing to do if you're trying to change an addiction. And they say, to help you, go ahead and go vegan and then change. It probably means people who are already plant-based have better results in these kind of programs than those who aren't. There's a new ad in the London Underground. Mind the gap, Doug. That's what they say over there at the Oxford Circus Station, which apparently is one of the busiest stations on the map. They have a new jarring ad there. This is from Plant-Based News, by the way. The jarring ad says 322,860 animals have died for human consumption in the time it's taken you to read this. And apparently that time is 8 seconds or so that it would take one to read that ad. Yeah, that is a staggeringly large number of animals dying every second, really, just for humans to eat. So obviously expected to get a lot of attention. Who knows how it will be received. More of this UK news. It just keeps coming. You'll be interested in this one, Doug. Lewis Hamilton, the Lewis Hamilton-backed UK-based vegan restaurant chain Neat Burger has made its food available for delivery in London via Uber Eats. That means when you are kind of lazy, but you want something good and plant-based, you can get buffalo cauli, mac and cheese with a Z, and nasty nachos. Doug, I think if you were over there in London after a trip to the London Dungeon, you'd probably want to chow down on some nasty nachos.
Some Lewis Hamilton-backed nasty nachos. That is like a dream come true for me. Bring on the nasty nachos. Let's do it.
That's what I thought. So yeah, not much more news there. But if you're London-based, I guess that might be significant to you that you can now get nasty nachos whenever you want.
I mean, is it really news that a restaurant gets on Uber Eats? Because that's essentially what I mean. Everybody's on Uber Eats.
The only reason I included it was because the Lewis Hamilton connection, and that was it. There was no other interesting stuff happening. I just had these 3 things, none of which is I guess VFC is kind of cool. The other ones, I don't know. Just that's what it is today. There's not much going on.
Mr. Devin wants to point out that vegan meat isn't the solution.
Ah, okay. Interesting take. Brave to come on here and say that on a show that its very existence is based on vegan meat news. Yeah, I think we're with you there. It's not a solution to anybody's health problems. It can be a nice onboarder to the plant-based diet, which is the solution, in my opinion, or a Mediterranean diet, which I think is even more the solution because I think it's going to be more easily adopted by people than a full plant-based diet, and I'm okay with that. for the record, Mr. Devin Tahani, I am on day 23 of a plant-based meat-free diet challenge. I've been going and in fact, more than that. I think it was the last few days of the year I didn't eat it either. So it really hasn't been very hard. But I've appreciated, like I mentioned, Doug, I did the food this Sunday, and I think typically I probably would have would have made a vegan meat meal. It just easier. I shouldn't say easier. It just first comes to mind. What are the kids gonna like? What can we make? It's not gonna be, I would have figured some way to put vegan meat in there and have the kids eat that if they didn't like the beans or something. It's actually going quite well, by the way. This is an aside, but we got pizza on Friday night, and I was driving home from a soccer practice, and it was it was Friday at 5 or something. We had no dinner plans, and I thought, let's do pizza. The kids wanted to. There's a place called Levante's, which is a chain, and it's really good. They have vegan cheese. And they have vegan chorizo, and I got that on one pizza because I got that right before Christmas when we got a pizza from there, and it was really great. And I through my mind went, because I hadn't done my exercise yet for the day either, and I said, you know what? I've made it 20 days into this challenge. Like I don't need to prove to myself that I can do this.
Wow! All it took was one.
That's all it took me to question it. That's all it took me to question it. I said, I haven't worked out. I'm gonna go home. I'm going to get this pizza. I'm going to crack open some wine. I'm just going to skip the activity for the day. I'm not going to do any weightlifting or anything. And I'm just going to go ahead and have a couple slices of this chorizo, which I know is good. Very small amount on there. And I was ready to do it. And then I said, no, I'm not doing that. This is only 20 days in. I'm doing it for the whole month. And I went home, got workout done before I started eating. Let the family eat first. I cranked out pumped some rubber in the garage. And then had the pizza with olives on it. I did not have the chorizo one. Had the other one. I know.
I'm proud of you. That's big.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Oh man, I understand though. Pizza, hard to turn down a good pizza.
Oh yeah,
that would be what broke me too. Pizza or nachos.
yeah. But anyway, so my news is that I did not fail.
As Mr. Jeffrey says, those are the moments that define the challenge. Good job pushing through. No, it's true though. I mean, it is true though. Like, those are like in any sort of running challenge or sugar-free challenge or plant-based challenge or whatever. It can be nice and easy when you're doing it all yourself, but when you're tired and you're hungry and you just want something simple and delicious, like leaning back on your previous choices is the easy way out, and so to kind of push against it, I think is really good. So nicely done.
Well, thank you. All right, I'm getting a lot of kudos here. I didn't expect that. I thought it was more. Of course, you should not bail out on your challenge after 20 days, but people I guess understand. So thank you.
People are nicer than I would have been today, I guess.
Yeah,
I was ready to give you a hard time.
All right, let's see. Mr. Devin Tahani is requesting to join. I don't feel like doing that right now. I don't want to have a debate about vegan meat and all that. We're just going to keep moving on. We're trying to keep these shows nice and tight. I know usually it's an open invite. On another day, Mr. Devin, I welcome you to join us. But today we're just going to keep plowing through. Okay, this is from Veg News, Doug. This is a discussion piece: how to create a vegan meal plan plus plant-based recipe inspiration. And this is Veg News's attempt to tell us why we should plan meals. One of their big things here, their big points, I guess the health one is sort of the obvious one, is that if you have a plan, you're going to tend to eat healthier food than not. Because it's as we just discussed, when you get in those moments where you don't have anything planned, that's when you're very likely to opt for the convenient option. Usually the convenient option is not the healthy option. So meal planning is good if it fits your lifestyle and the way you can do it. They also talk a lot about food waste, which, I didn't ever realize is that big of an issue. Apparently it's a big environmental thing. I kind of thought, my thinking, and this is very naive, I admit, I thought the food's already been, picked and bought by me. Like, who cares what I do with it, right? I know I shouldn't be in the habit of wasting food, but like once I already have it, like, does it really matter if that food goes to waste or not? Like, do I need to put it in the Lomi composter so that we can turn it into dirt and then throw it out in the backyard? Which actually we don't do. I was wrong when I declared that we just throw it out in the backyard. Aaron said we use it for stuff.
That's how your your garden is growing too, in the back.
Yeah,
in the garage. Yeah, your herb garden. Yeah,
we have this whole like ecosystem going, a self-sustainable household. And
Totally naive too.
But anyway, I just thought, okay, so food waste I thought is a problem because if the food's being directed to the wrong places and then people are wasting it, that's a distribution issue, and that would solve a lot of hunger issues. But then I was thinking, but like if it's going to go to waste, does it really matter if we turn it into dirt rather than just let it compost because it's going to biodegrade very quickly? Apparently, it's not a great thing to let that happen. I guess in the landfills it creates methane and all this other stuff. I don't know, Doug. Can you speak on that as an environment dude?
I mean, maybe a little bit. I think it's probably twofold. One, a lot of our food comes in packages, even the like fresh food, like
Mhm.
our lettuce and all of our, people get vegetables and they stick them in the plastic bags and at the grocery store and all that stuff. And so all of the kind of overconsumption or over purchasing of food means that there's going to be a lot of additional packaging that's probably getting consumed as well, or not consumed, but brought into your house. And so you have to dispose of that. So that's a problem. And then I think the food waste itself, nothing really biodegrades very well or at all in a landfill. And right now there's a good example. I believe it's in Florida, might be West Virginia, somewhere in the United States. There is a giant landfill fire that is wrecking havoc on a huge community because it's all underground and they're having trouble putting it out. Because it's all underground, and that kind of stuff happens when food is released and creates methane, and there's all kinds of all sort of issues, both environmental stuff with methane getting into the air, but also can cause some real disruptions to a community and water sources and stuff like that. So I think that ideally you're eating everything you're purchasing so that they're not creating more food than is necessary and distributing it properly. And yeah, it's as simple as that. Composting what you don't eat.
I thought we were going to start sending all the trash into outer space on rockets. Is that not happening anymore?
That's that's probably phase 2 of the climate solutions of Elon Musk taking over Twitter is phase 1, and then
yeah.
sending
So
our trash.
once he reaches Mars, it'll be good because I think when you put the trash up there, it just goes into orbit of the planet. And I guess if we had enough up there, I'm sure problems would resolve if we start having.
Oh, that's already a huge issue. Not with your trash bag trash, your home trash, but like with space trash is a huge issue. Yeah. Okay.
But if we can get to Mars and we just start putting the trash around that orbit, that could be like our landfill in space, and we just dump it on Mars. I don't know. Wouldn't be the worst move. Okay, so moving on.
Oh man.
Okay, phone's a little low on power. Okay. So anyway, they give us a sample vegan meal. I don't think they don't give us really many strategies for meal planning. They give a sample plan, just a bunch of stuff. Cinnamon nut oatmeal for breakfast, vegan Thai carrot soup, vegan shepherd's pie. This is a typical day. And then strawberry chia oat bites for snack. And then they give a bunch more recipes. So I guess the point here is you should do a meal planning. I don't know if there's so much how to vegan meal plan here as the article headline kind of promises. They do ultimately advertise for their own plan. You can get the Veg News meal planner, the ultimate meal planner. Might even be free. I don't know. But anyway, that's that. But I wanted to take a moment, Doug, to discuss meal planning in general. I should know this. I don't know the answer. Does your family stick to a kind of like, we're going to do this on like a, Taco Tuesday or Burrito Monday, or we're going to stick, we know exactly what we're doing. We're just going to vary it a little bit. Like, is that how you guys do it, or do you wing it more than
that? We wing it much more than that. Although a couple of things I will say about that. So we definitely wing it, but we have our staple meals that we pretty much have stocked in the pantry every time we need something, or in the fridge. And so we can kind of rely on those meals. And in a sense, that's a form of meal planning, right? I mean, if you have a few meals a week that you're probably going to cook no matter what, even whether it's a Tuesday or a Thursday, doesn't really matter. But, we have those plans ready, or those meals ready so that one of us can knock it out really quickly on a busy night. So I think that's kind of how we've landed with the meal planning side. And it also is a time saver. It means that we're eating less takeout, and so it's definitely a health saver as well. And but I will say, like, if I go to the grocery store last weekend or this past weekend, I went to the grocery store, I didn't have any meals planned. So oftentimes we'll talk through, at least a handful of meals that we want to cook outside of those those kind of weekly staples, and buy the ingredients for that. And what I found was I just spent way more money than I need to, just because I just walked around buying a bunch of stuff because I didn't have any meals in mind aside from the ones that we always buy for. And so it's just like, oh, maybe we'll get this, maybe we'll get that. Got a bunch of spent a lot of extra money, and probably also are going to create some additional waste from it because we're just, like, I don't know that they're really going to come together properly. So I think that there are real benefits to having some sort of, whether it's a meal plan or not, some sort of structure to your weekly meals, at least, as you head into the grocery store.
Yeah, that's a good point. We go through different phases, and now and then we get in a phase where we kind of plan 3 meals at a time or so, but there's never any real structure that's like, this day is going to be for this. I know people make that work where like they have a full week plan, and like Thursday's pasta night and tacos Tuesday, or Tuesday's taco day, whatever. And they just kind of know, which sounds pretty nice. I don't think I would do so well sticking to that. I don't really know. I think when cooking and food is going well for me, it's like because I'm really interested in cooking different stuff and I'm just kind of enjoying it. And then I don't want that kind of structure. I just wanted to wing it and find something new each day that's fun. I get into really bad habits where I go to the grocery store, not so much recently, but because I just don't go to the store that much. Aaron does it much more than I do for whatever reason, which I'm grateful for. But I used to be like, go every day
and just arrive. Somehow our kitchen is always stocked. It's amazing.
Don't know where.
What do you mean people have food issues? It just arrives.
But I used to go to the store every day to get that day's meal. And that was when I was like really into cooking. It was just weird. So then I finally got smart and said, okay, I'm always going to get 2 meals at least. I'm going to plan for 2 things. And then when I go to the store, I'll always grab that second meal. So we don't really do much meal planning. What we do have, and it's not an formal thing, but I'd say we have about 10 meals that we commonly make. So every week when we're thinking about or like if you're going to pick up a meal, something new today, maybe also make sure we have the ingredients for pesto pasta or, what the Bonza pizza, go to emergency meal, whatever. And we just kind of find another thing, or tofu stir fry. We often do. So that's kind of it. And then what else I do? I've done this recently a lot. We have this Rancho Gordo Bean Club subscription. We've also just bought a ton of dried beans at the grocery store over the past, few months, for whatever reason, but we pick them up when we're there, see them, just get some. If you make a whole pot of beans, and I don't really care if people make their beans or not, I don't think it's that much healthier. And we're not like snobs about that or anything. But if you make a big whole pot of beans, you're going to tend to find ways to eat those up, and it automatically picks your meals for you because now you have a constraint. Instead of any recipe in the world being at your disposal, you're thinking, how can I use up these cranberry beans or these? Right now we have black beans, and then you just suddenly you zero in and you can find something that uses those things very easily when you have some structure or some constraints, I guess, to the possibilities.
Definitely 100% agree with that. Our kids consume, beans are a massive part of their diet, and so we'll have a big thing of beans in the fridge at all times, basically. It's just there, and so you end up just throwing it up, even if your meal isn't centered around that, but maybe you'll throw them on top of a salad or into mix them in with some pasta or something like that for a quick lunch. You just end up using those beans all the time if you have them prepped and cooked and ready to go.
Yep, exactly. Which doesn't just fix meal planning; it also fixes. it gives you healthier habits, right?
Yeah.
You now have that on hand, and you just use it more often. Yeah, good. What do you got?
I'd be remiss to not call out that we just published a blog post on Compliment, and it was very similar to this one from Veg News. It's called the 7-Day Plant-Based Meal Plan to Jumpstart Your Nutrition. If you go to lovecompliment.com's blog, you'll see the plant-based meal plan there, and it is designed to act as like a starter meal plan to where you don't have to use a meal plan anymore, like we were talking about, to kind of give you those go-to meals that are easy for your family and for yourself or your family to pull in.
Very good. Very nice. Nice little plug. I like it. Okay, moving on. I meant to talk about olive oil last week because we talked about it. Then someone wrote to me. I forget who it was. It might have been Anne Marie. I'm not sure. But anyway, we talked about that, and I wanted to revisit it because someone else came back to it. I today though found a really great article about the Mediterranean diet, and we talk about it a lot recently. Mediterranean. I understand that people are probably sick of it, But this one ties together a bunch of stuff we've been saying. It's just an interview that the Harvard, Health and Medicine, the Harvard Gazette did with Walter Willett, who people may know him. He's a professor of epidemiology and nutrition at the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health. He's been a kind of a big name in this nutrition space for a while. I remember in the first No Meat Athlete book back in 2013, we quoted him on a few different things because he was sort of a big plant-based proponent. But anyway, they're interviewing him about the Mediterranean diet, and I just think there's a lot of it's just like perfect storm, maybe the wrong word. I'm just seeing it over and over. The Mediterranean, the flexitarian thing. It seems to me that that's like really something that is poised to take hold, because you see a lot of people talking about it. U.S. Health or News and Health or whatever. What is it? I'm blanking on the name. U.S. News and World Report. Is that what it is? Anyway, they ranked it number one diet, flexitarian. So he goes into this and he talks about how first of all, he describes what a typical Mediterranean diet might be. And it actually has more meat than when I have talked about it, I've sort of imagined. He says, a general rule of thumb is think about having 2 servings of animal source foods per day. And of course, that's not right. The rule of thumb is to have that many, to have all those plants, and then have some of this to sort of fill it in.
Right.
It's not about like, make sure you strive to get those 2 servings a day. He's saying this is like what you kind of want to get to. And he's saying that's about 1 serving of dairy a day and 1 serving of another animal source protein a day. Could mean red meat once a week, fish a couple times a week, poultry a couple times a week, and eggs a couple of times a week. So he's basically saying you have your dairy at some point in the day, and then 1 meal of the day you're having either, meat, fish, poultry, or eggs, and it's much less red meat than it is the others. So, not nearly a plant-based diet in my opinion, but compared to a standard American diet, not bad at all. So, what he goes on to say here is that the more you do it, the better. If you're doing it half the time, you're only going to get half the benefits of such a diet. If you do it more than that, of course, you'll get more benefits. And then he mentions that he says like this would be a big shift for a lot of people, but 25 years ago it would have been way, way harder, because he says 25 years ago people were not even familiar with whole grains for the most part. And he says he grew up in Michigan. His mom had this bottle of olive oil that sat there for years and got rancid because people just didn't know how to cook with olive oil or weren't used to the flavors of it. And I actually remember when I was, I think in probably high school or middle school, I remember for the first time we got olive oil, and my dad started putting it on pasta, and we were like, it just tasted weird. I thought it tasted strange. I don't know what we cooked with. I guess my mom used butter or vegetable oil. I don't know. But I think it's a good point that maybe we're in this sort of evolution, and this United States culture would not have been ready for this Mediterranean diet back then.
Right.
But now that people are all into real food and everything, maybe it's sort of in a position where it might actually happen.
Yeah.
Okay. And he goes on to talk about how once a lot of people like this type of diet, if you compare this Mediterranean diet, if you eat this way, comparing it to say a Midwestern one where there's lots of potatoes and meat and butter and all this other stuff, he says a lot of people you really lose the taste for that. It just doesn't sound nearly as interesting as what you were saying earlier, Doug, all these flavors of a Mediterranean diet that you get, and this freshness component that's always there. I think it's a very good point. And it just makes me more confident that this might be the diet of the year. Flexitarian / Mediterranean. And again, Mediterranean kind of a specific case of a flexitarian diet. You can choose to take it whatever way you want. Mediterranean would just be one way. But I don't know. I'm kind of on board.
I am too. Of course, we want that plant-based diet.
We want that plant-based diet. We do want that based diet. But I just think for the vast majority of people, the one that's going to be adoptable is the one to go with. He does say one thing that I don't like, and it's true, and I've heard it before, and I am in denial of it. He says that we're beginning to look now at the effects of diet at different points of life, and so far, diet during adolescence appears to be particularly important for cancer risk later in life, sometimes even more important than what we're eating in midlife. And what I was eating during adolescence was those little Huggies, those barrels that had the juice in them, those things.
Oh yeah, sure, those are good.
Yoo-hoo. If I was really fancy, homemade chocolate milk, a lot of Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Cookie Crisp, Not that much else. Taco Bell, sometimes I would go get the
Hot
chicken
Pockets,
tacos or
Pizza
something.
Pockets,
Hot Pocket, right. I mean, terrible food. So that's not a very good,
Breakfast Pockets. Yep.
yeah, Pizza Bites. I mean, just terrible.
Mhm.
Maybe I'm forgetting a lot of the real food because my mom did make real dinners all the
Sure.
time.
Of course.
We didn't, but everything else around that, I just ate whatever. It was terrible.
Yeah.
So
I think,
I hate to read that.
do you think our kids are going to be like, when they're our age, they're going to be like, yeah, when I was a kid, my dad used to give me fake chicken nuggets. And
I mean, it's possible.
Yeah.
I think that's a very real, possible future scenario. As we say, I can't believe we were eating all those fake high tech things when it turned out 30 years later they were giving everybody cancer and we just didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope not.
I do too, but I do think it's a good idea for us to move past that as a movement where like they can be a sort of a gateway food, but we should not base your diet, and also they can be a now and then treat like any other bad food could be, but they probably shouldn't be our diet based on them.
So another thing that he calls out, this is unrelated to the Mediterranean diet, but I thought it was kind of interesting, was we're digging down to look into more detail on specific fruits and vegetables. We have typically lumped them all together, which I don't know, it's kind of interesting to think about because we talk about eat your vegetables, eat your fruit, kind of lumping them all together. But what does a carrot have in common with, say, a head of lettuce? Not very much. And what we're seeing is that they may have different health effects, which, of course we know. Some appear to be particularly important for breast cancer prevention, for example. And then, it talks about spinach. People are eating too much spinach. Spinach, of course, has or maybe not people are eating, but, one concern is that you can have too much spinach. It's good for many things. I'm not even finding this spot, so I'm going off the top of my head. Here it is, which has health benefits, but can also cause kidney stones, presumably due to the high content of oxalate. So, basically, it's just making a case for a well-rounded, well-balanced diet, which, of course, we talk a lot about. But that kind of lumping of vegetables together, lumping of greens together, lumping of fruit together is something that everybody does, even within the plant-based community. And I think it's like he's saying here. I think it's important to not do that, to get a little bit more granular as you talk. Once you clean up your diet enough to like that you're eating fruits and vegetables, then start thinking about what types are best for you and your needs.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely fall into that a lot. Fruit is a good example for me. Like I'll eat a couple bananas in a day because we just always have bananas. They're easy to get. They're always, for whatever reason, they're always available at the grocery store and they're always dependable in quality. Whereas, oranges might depend on what store you're going to. If you can get peelable, good oranges, some apples I'm not that into for various reasons.
I'm intrigued.
It's mostly my teeth. My teeth, ever since I was a kid, I have sensitive teeth, and like acidic sweet foods, they will make my teeth hurt for like the whole rest of the day. If I eat, like, it used to be if I would drink a Coke. If I would drink a Coke as a kid, which I did a lot, and then later in the day try to eat hard pretzels, like the hard pretzels, it would be the most painful thing you could imagine for your teeth. And so I get that now. This didn't happen when I was a kid, but if I have smooth, because I think what's happening is my teeth are wearing away. There's one of my weaknesses, by the way, my teeth. People don't know that. Sleep and teeth are my my weak spots. So anyway,
and chorizo pizza.
That's just something I like. That doesn't.
Okay.
This is like Achilles' heel, kind of like this is the thing that will eventually be my downfall.
Okay. The reason you don't live to be 1,000. You got it.
Right. So anyway, most varieties of apples really hurt my teeth a lot, just later in the day. So fun fact. But anyway, I'll eat a couple bananas and then I'll say, did I eat fruit today? Yep, I did. I had bananas. And then I'll say that every day for a month. And then I'm like, it's not really the same. Not to mention that bananas are probably one of the least, antioxidant rich of fruits. They just don't have all that much compared to others. So
yeah, right.
Very good point. Need to mix it up. And we also eat broccoli all the time, and I need to mix that up too. So, all right, moving on here. This one's about olive oil. It's not a new article. Oh, really quickly, sorry. If you wanted to read that article, and you should, I don't know if we did it justice there. It's a long interview. It's not a bunch of catchy headlines or sub headlines. It's at news.harvard.edu, and it's the best thing about the Mediterranean diet. It doesn't taste like a diet. That's the headline. So look it up if you want. It's good interview. All right, so olive oil. someone asked, I think it was you asked me, Doug, last week, what is my current stance on olive oil? I said that I had gone the oil-free route for a while, thought it was, not good at all, like with the whole food, plant-based, low-fat diet kind of thing, and had just recently gradually introduced it back into my diet. And now I eat quite a bit. I don't know what, but several tablespoons per day. I kind of made the point of, I don't think it's that bad. You can find articles that show that it reduces inflammation in arteries rather than increases arterial inflammation, as long as it is extra virgin olive oil and not some cheaper kind that doesn't have all those good, solid compounds in it. But I neglected to mention that the longevity diet, which I often quote, Valter Longo's diet, it's mostly vegan. He says eat fish like 2 to 3 times a week at most, a little bit of dairy if you want, but otherwise it's 100% vegan. And he says you should actually be striving to get 3 tablespoons per day of olive oil. That is an important thing for longevity, that you get that much. But 3 tablespoons, that's an enormous amount for the low oil crowd.
Yeah, that is a lot.
Like you wouldn't want to get a teaspoon in a day if you're on the low fat, low oil diet. So 9 times that is 9 times that. That's quite a bit. So I probably come out in that range, maybe more like 2 a day. I don't really know. But I just think that's interesting that there are real experts who are, largely plant-based proponents saying, make sure you get enough olive oil in your diet.
Yeah, it is interesting. It's, it's a different way of thinking about it than the no oil, the oil-free approach we've been taking, but we've been talking about for a long time.
Yeah.
But
totally. This is from theconversation.com. It's not a new article. Sorry. Low power again. It's the headline is "Drink a glass of olive oil every day: the Mediterranean way to a long life." And the author goes into, I guess it's his attempt to do this, and he made it only one day, and then realized he should have been eating some food to line his stomach because he had terrible stomach ache, so he just gave up. And then decided to write an article about drink a glass of olive oil every day, which is kind of goofy in my mind. But what I like about it is it points out that there is some, I don't know what to call it, evidence, but there's some thinking that perhaps olive oil is a very good thing. They look at Cretan fishermen from the 1960s who reportedly had a glass of olive oil for breakfast before a hard day of fishing or goat herding. I would argue that the hard day of fishing or goat herding is probably what helped them live a very long time, not the glass of olive oil necessarily. But that's where this idea comes from, I guess. But the whole olive oil as a health food, this is why I wanted to include this. There was a very famous large study called the Predimed study, Predimed. They looked, I believe it was in Barcelona area, and they looked at a whole lot of people. They compared a low-fat diet, which was recommended by doctors around the time they did this. This was, published in 2013. They compared that to a much higher fat Mediterranean diet, supplemented with either extra olive oil or nuts. So this is Mediterranean to begin with, and then extra olive oil or nuts. What we don't talk about all that much when we talk about Mediterranean and flexitarian, like it is significantly higher in fat than the whole food plant-based diet, which is a really low fat diet. Yeah. And the whole thing, as I said last week, is like it's high in carbohydrates, but it's also low in fat. And you tend to need to be high in one, low in the other to have a diet that produces good results. If you're high in both fat and carbohydrates, long-term results are usually not very good, and people gain weight. But this Predimed study conclusively showed that the Mediterranean diet, this Mediterranean diet with extra fat group, had a third less heart disease, diabetes, and stroke than the low-fat group, and also lost a little weight, had less memory loss, and the most recent results showed that it reduced chances of breast cancer, albeit in a small number of women. And the people who did this research, and this is a big, important study. This isn't just this article where I found this. This is a known thing, the Predimed study. But anyway, the authors believe that olive oil itself was the single most powerful factor in this whole thing, because the group that had the nuts added did not get quite the same benefits as the olive oil people did. And it had to be extra virgin olive oil, which I've been saying. You can't just get regular. You have to have those plant compounds that make their way into the extra virgin stuff. So very interesting. It made me wonder, like we're talking about Mediterranean, that is significantly higher in fat. It's also high in whole grains. So it does have carbohydrate and fat, but the carbohydrate is from, whole sources that I'm imagining not very high glycemic index, take a while to break down. And that can work with higher fat, according to this Predimed study. But it's, I don't know, worth pointing out, I think, and an interesting kind of counterexample to this idea that you can't have a lot of fat and a lot of carbohydrate.
After our discussion about that the other day, I was thinking every meal that I was eating, I was thinking about how much I don't follow that rule. How much there's a lot of fat and a lot of carbs in pretty much everything I eat. And so it didn't change any behavior this weekend, but it got me thinking about it for sure. So I'm glad to see there's a counter argument against it, at least a little one.
Yeah, I think make sure the fat is the best form, and that extra virgin olive oils I think seems to be the best form of fat, and maybe not the best for high temperature cooking. I should qualify. And in Mediterranean, the grains are all whole grains. You're not talking about white bread here, and that's a tough one for me. We definitely do a lot of that. I easily fall into the trap of saying this is sourdough bread, so therefore it's okay that it's white.
Right.
And it's just, I don't know, we do, and whole grain pasta now and then. So I don't know. It's as I said before, I wish I ate more whole grains that aren't just wheat, because I do that a whole lot.
Yeah. I'm with you.
So yeah, so we want to eat something closer to Mediterranean. Then I got to start expanding my
your grains,
whole grain game. Yeah,
your whole grain game.
All right. Well, that I think does it, Doug. We're 11:47. That's about a 45-minute show. I need to point out we're making mushrooms tonight. A 3-mushroom pasta featuring cremini, which are baby portobello mushrooms, and they're called baby bella for good reason, because they literally are babies of portobellos. But they're also just the next phase of white button mushrooms. They turn into these cremini. We've learned that from the show. Those shiitake and maitake going into a pasta dish that we're making for some friends who are coming to visit.
Nice.
Is
it just pasta? I mean, is it just mushrooms and like white wine?
Pasta, mushrooms, yeah, white wine. I'll probably put a little Miyoko's butter in there. It's supposed to be you're supposed to put heavy cream in, but we're not gonna do that. And I don't want to put the cashew cream in. I don't know. I'm just not that big of a fan of that. So I'll use a little bit of Miyoko's butter to add some saturated fat goodness. And I don't know what else is in there. I forget.
I picked up a bunch of baby bellas over the weekend. Maybe I'll have some mushrooms tonight too. We can talk about our mushrooms.
You didn't randomly pick them up at the store, not knowing what you would do with them, Doug, did you?
I did. That's exactly what I did. And and so
when it's mushrooms, it's okay. Mushrooms is the one exception to that.
Yeah, at Ingles, which is our grocery store. It's not it's just your very middle of the road grocery store, right? Nothing special about it.
They're not getting VFC at Ingles. They're not pioneers in anything like that.
No, and certainly not in mushrooms either. So they have these packs that are called the wild mushrooms or packs of gourmet mushrooms.
Yeah, I've seen those. Yeah, very expensive.
Very expensive. And so I was I picked up 2 packs to put in. I was I'm gonna do something fun for the Year of the Mushrooms so we can talk about it on the podcast. I picked up 2 packs, put them in the thing, and then I was that's $15 worth of mushrooms, and I have zero plan for it. And so I put them back. Went for the $3.99 baby bellas or whatever.
I think it's a good move.
And put them back, because I just I don't know. I gotta figure out how to get my nicer mushrooms. I mean, I know where to go. It's like a half an hour away, and I don't know.
Where do you go? Where's your mushroom spot?
Well, I could go to Whole Foods and get some, or I could, someone recommended the actual tailgate market.
Okay.
And so I could go there, but that's a trip. That's a commitment, to go out of the way just for some mushrooms. So got to figure that out.
Okay. You're surprisingly okay with bashing Ingles when it's a local family-owned grocery store. I think they headquartered in Black Mountain, your hometown.
They are, but they're not good. They're not good neighbors.
Oh no,
no, they're not good Black Mountain.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. All right.
So I can bash, but they are literally our only grocery store in town. So
right,
it's kind of our only option.
Yeah.
Except for Hopi, I guess.
Yeah. Right.
All right.
Okay.
That's all I got, Matt.
Sounds good. I forgot to call out some chats that were in the. It was just a bunch of dots. Never mind. In the restream. I always forget to do that. But all right, good. Well, thanks everyone for attending. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll be back this whole week, every day, 11 a.m. Eastern, as usual. And hopefully we'll have a little bit more news happening. As I said, today there wasn't a whole lot of new stuff, but that happens now and then. So hopefully more tomorrow.
Yep. See you.
Okay. Talk to you later. Goodbye.